Hello, everybody. It is now 11, so we're going to get started. Welcome to MLS Live. This is our second session. My name is Amanda Favre, and my pronouns are she, her. I am the Membership and Bibliotemps Manager here at the Massachusetts Library System.
Morning, everyone. Thanks, Amanda. This is Sarah Sigigian, she, her. I'm the Executive Director at MLS. Thanks for joining us today. So as we like to begin our sessions with land acknowledgement, as MLS has two offices in Massachusetts, we'd like to acknowledge the Nipmuc people of Marlborough and Northampton, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations who cared for and continue to cultivate the land and resources that we benefit from today. We invite you to consider your own position with regard to the land where you find yourselves.
All right, thanks, Sarah. Today, Sarah will discuss what MLS is and how we are different from our partner organizations in the state. We've prepared a series of questions to guide the conversation, but we encourage you to put all of your questions in the chat box. And we will answer those questions. We will give them preference over our own questions. I'll be monitoring those. If your question isn't related to the topic we're talking about today, you should still go ahead and put that in the box. And what we'll do is save it for the end of the session. So we'll hopefully have some time at the end where we can talk about any of those things. And if we run out of time and we can't provide you with an answer, or you have a really hard question, then we will follow up with you later. So you'll still get an answer. It just might take us more time. All right, so let's get down to business.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Sarah.
Yeah.
So my first question for you today, when you meet someone new who has no professional connection to libraries, how do you describe the purpose and the goals of our organization?
Well, we'll talk a little bit about this later on in the session, but many of you know, we used to have 6 regional library systems in Massachusetts. And one of those regions used to describe themselves as a library for libraries. And I always really liked that description because most times when you're talking to folks, they know what a library is, and to best explain how we offer our services and support our membership or quote patrons, to say that we're a library for libraries is something that makes sense to folks. There are services that we offer different from those former organizations, but it's a really good beginning to sort of craft an elevator pitch. So if I were to do that, something like MLS is a nonprofit dedicated to providing unique and exceptional libraries related services to enhance the informational, educational, and social needs of all members of our Commonwealth.
All right. So a follow-up to that question, what are the unique ways in which our organization supports the library community at large?
Well, our offerings often complement the critical services each of our member libraries provides. And I think as Amanda noted on one of the slides, our members are from all library types, and that includes publics, academics, specials, and school libraries. So for example, the interlibrary loan services, loosely defined as, one library receiving materials from another library, is really highly valued among all of our member libraries and library users. Our delivery service allows these items to be delivered and returned at no cost to the user or the library. And our interlibrary loan department, in-house based in both of our offices, Marlborough and Northampton, can search across the country and really internationally for materials for patrons, often available with limited shipping costs. So that's one example of how we can complement the services offered by our members. And also something that we're really proud of and keep in mind consistently while we do our work is that all of our services are developed with our members in mind. We value input from them as we adapt and plan.
Thanks, Sarah. All right, so next question. We celebrated our 10th anniversary in July.
Mhm.
For those who joined the profession after 2010, how
Mhm.
would you describe the origins of MLS?
So the Mass Library System was formed out of the aforementioned consolidation of six regional library systems. And those six were founded in the state, I want to say in 1996. Before that, there were three regional library systems. So due to a budget cut in 2009, the operations were consolidated into one entity, the Massachusetts Library System, with two locations. And we're physically located right now, one office in Marlborough and one office in Northampton.
And how did our services change or stay the same?
As mentioned, the budget situation 2008, 2009 kind of um, inspired, I guess is a good way of saying, the consolidation into MLS. And on July 1st, 2010, we started our work with 40% less staff and 64% less budget. So prior to our consolidations, members were led through a 9-month transition process where they had the opportunity to sort of rank the services that each 6 regional library systems provided. And each region did provide different services. So it was really sort of a come together, talk about all the services that were offered and what MLS could do with what was available. The answer for at least the core services has sort of remained consistent. Delivery, meaning statewide delivery, databases, which I now include the Commonwealth ebook collection, ebooks, more of an online content kind of offering, and continuing education were at the top of the list. So those three topics formed our core services. And then as our budget recovered, new and expanded services were developed, including the Commonwealth ebook collection, affectionately known as CEC, MassCat, which is a network that's available through the Mass Library System for some of our smaller library members. Cooperative purchasing, which provides our membership with access to a huge plethora of contracts that libraries can purchase supplies for their libraries, services, and other contracts that are needed for ongoing operations at a discounted rate. Our bibliotemps service and consulting services, and those really started to tighten and become very, very popular as our budget sort of expanded, as we were able to add new staff, and as our physical space also grew. So over the past 10 years, we were able to add a few things, strengthen a few others, and really provide resources and services that our members have come to really rely on.
All right. And one more follow-up to this topic is, what did we learn from the events of 2009?
Uh, A lot. No, definitely a lot. But I'll say that we learned our value is to the members and the Commonwealth can't really be defined by our budget. The budget cycle we know will ebb and flow, and we need to prepare for all possibilities. And that really includes a focus on advocacy and communications as well as succession planning. And that's something that I really kept in mind, I think, at the forefront of our minds, certainly as we went through our last strategic planning process, us now being 10 years old and looking at our next decade of service, those things are sort of constantly at the forefront of my mind.
All right. Thanks, Sarah. Just a reminder for anybody who's joining us, we have prepared questions, but if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box, and we'll get to those. All right, so I have a little disclaimer before we move into the next section. We're going to be discussing specific library organizations that operate in Massachusetts. However, our focus is on how the work of these organizations relates to the work of MLS. And so the descriptions that we're using are not all encompassing. And for more information, we encourage you to reach out to these organizations directly. And as we get into specific organizations, I'll put in the websites for those organizations so that you can, if I have them. Some of them don't actually have public websites, but I'll give you what I've got. All right. So first question, there are many different library organizations in Massachusetts with lots of acronyms. A member of our library community could easily be connected to several of these organizations at once, including perhaps like a library network, a library association, and then, working with the state, which would be the MBLC. We often refer to these groups as our partner organizations. So my first question, first question that relates to this is, how does MLS work with these partners to support the Massachusetts library community?
So here at Mass Library System, our organization and our staff are active members of several of the organizations listed on your screen, and also some advocate groups that are not listed on your screen. We work together often to align complementing services rather than try to copy or duplicate work. Each of the associations or organizations listed have their own missions, mission statements, if you will. And it's important that we do our best to sort of serve each of us, that we serve under our own missions while working collaboratively with others.
All right. And to include some more clarification on sort of the funding structure of Massachusetts and how all of that works, the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners has created a really great funding chart that explains all of that. And I'm going to share the link with everybody in the chat if you want to look at that now or later. We won't really be touching on that today. All right. And now, before we move on to the next one, because the next one is sort of a lengthy discussion, we're going to do a quick news break to give Sarah a little bit of a vocal rest. So I'm just going to cover some like random things here. MLS Live is held on the last Tuesday of the month. Each month, we will talk about a different topic. Our next session is March 30th. And more dates after that will be announced, but you should plan for it to be on the last Tuesday of the month. And if you'd like to register for the March session, I'm putting the link in the chat now. And the topic for that one is to be announced. So we're going to talk about it next week, and then hopefully by the end of next week, we'll be sending out some information about it. Stay tuned for those updates. And also, I just wanted to let you know that we do have a monthly newsletter that is started going out in October. And the next one will go out this Friday. And if you'd like to get that, then you can sign up using this link. Hold on one moment. As long as you check off just the news and updates, you'll only get one email from us, so we won't be clouding your inbox with a bunch of junk. And final thing, our spring webinar calendar is now available. So please share that with your colleagues and check out what we have to offer for the spring. And now we're going to move on to the next the next piece. All right, Sarah.
Yeah.
If we were to look specifically at our relationships with each organization, could you clarify both how we are different and how we work together? And the first one we're going to start with is the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners.
I can try, Amanda. Thank you.
Okay.
And just again, just a reminder, these are really snapshot descriptions. We also have many other partners across the state, including our health science librarians, the trial court libraries, prison librarians that we work with on a usually project by project basis. Today we'll be covering a lot of the big ones, the big acronyms that we often hear about in our everyday work, but please don't think that those are the only partnerships that we have. We can certainly do more work with our other partners and sharing news about that in future sessions. So to start with, let's talk with the Board of Library Commissioners. So the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners is our state agency, and in fact, it's the oldest Board of Library Commissioners in the nation. The Mass Library System is a nonprofit, and we're funded with money administered by the Board of Library Commissioners. And that's really the financial piece. The library commissioners have several budget lines for different affiliate groups across the state that benefit from state funding, and they are the ones that administer and manage that piece. We also both have services that are available to our members. Both organizations have teams of consultants that advise on various topics. MBLC also administers the Institute of Museum and Library Services grants direct to the libraries.
All right. All right.
Oh, go ahead.
Are you, is that all of the MBLC talk?
For now, yes. I think we'll be talking about some of the specifics a little later on. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then next, let's move on to MLS and the Library for the Commonwealth.
I have a special place in my heart for the Library of the Commonwealth, Library for the Commonwealth. It's an incredibly unique and amazing opportunity and organization that our members here in the Commonwealth have access to. So the Library for the Commonwealth is housed at the Boston Public Library, and it's our budget line and service. It shares our budget line and also is our service partner. So we do a lot of work together, complementing each other, and keeping each other informed of things that are happening and how they can benefit the members and across the state. So the Boston Public Library is able to offer lots of amazing resources to everyone in Massachusetts through their in-person and online library card program. You as a resident or someone who works in Massachusetts, and all of your patrons have access to getting a free library card at the Boston Public Library, either online through their e-card program or in person if you were to visit one of their the main library or one of the branches. And with that e-card, you'll have the opportunity to access all the resources that they have available. And this is online programming, ebooks, digital services, at the statewide digital library. And should you go to Boston, of course, you'll have access to all of that in-person opportunities as well. So if you'd like more information on that, we can cover that a little bit later, but I highly encourage everyone to get it, at least an e-card to the Boston Public Library. We also have a liaison from the Library for the Commonwealth on our executive board so that we can consistently ensure our work complements each other.
And I put a link in the chat to the LibGuide,
Perfect.
our LibGuide that has all of the information about the Library for the Commonwealth, and I believe that is new, and that the staff at BPL worked on that with us.
Yes, they did.
All right. So the next one, okay, so the next one is library networks, and this is one of those examples that they don't really have publicly accessible websites. However, the Board of Library Commissioners does have a great page on the networks with some nice basic information on there. So that's what I'm going to link to in the chat. But Sarah, if you'd like to sort of outline how MLS works with those networks and the examples. And sorry for all the acronyms. If you might be part of MVLC or CLAMS or SAILS, or there's also Minuteman, and there's a bunch of other ones.
Yes, we do. Our profession does love their acronyms, don't we, Amanda?
Yep.
So the library networks there are 9 of them across the state. The networks are really our awesome colleagues in resource sharing, if you will. If MLS handles the physical movement of items through our statewide delivery system, the networks host the technology that allows that to happen. So that's available again to the members of each of the individual networks. Both the networks and MLS are needed to keep materials moving throughout the state and patrons' hands. One major difference is that the networks charge a membership fee, while MLS does not. So MLS is primarily funded with state funds, again, administered through the Board of Library Commissioners. And the networks have a combination of state and membership funds, which is and each network handles that piece a little differently. So you may recognize some of these as, oh, that's my, quote, my network, whether that's where you live or where you work. There's also MassCat. MassCat, again, is our smaller network available through the Mass Library System. And there's some other networks, smaller ones that are sort of subsets. So there's one that's called Helm, which is one that's available through the Flow network. And we can, again, provide more information on that at either a later call or through email or chat after the session is over. There, again, is a lot of acronyms, a lot of differences, but we're happy to help try to make sense of it all.
All right. And just a reminder, if anybody has questions, feel free to put those in the chat. Um, all right, so the next one we're going to talk about, or these are all really sort of grouped under the heading of professional library associations, but we're going to start with the Massachusetts Library Association. And I'm just going to put the link for them in the chat. So Sarah, do you want to sort of talk about how we're sort of connected with them?
Sure. So the Mass Library Association is our local American Library Association chapter. They are really our advocacy group. Individuals are able to join the association as members for a fee. They also have this one and some of the other ones we'll be talking about, other partners have institutional memberships. So some libraries can join the association as an institutional member as well. MLA hosts interest groups for youth services librarians, readers advisory, public relations, references, reference work, technical services, and of course has a big annual conference that serves as a really incredible learning and networking opportunity for librarians from all type across the state.
All right, thank you. And just a unplanned question, but
Yeah.
how would you generalize who normally joins the Mass Library Association? What type of librarian?
So the Mass Library Association has, I will say, an incredible opportunity for both professional librarians, degreed librarians, but also an incredibly strong paraprofessionals section. It's really probably one of the strongest I think I've seen in the country. They've done some incredible work on behalf of paras. So the organization, I think membership is open to really anybody, whether it's you're a practicing librarian or a library supporter, a retired librarian, but I think it's a good general organization to join as someone who would like to advocate and network within the library field in Massachusetts.
All right, good answer.
Oh,
All right.
thanks.
So, all right, the next association I wanted to ask about is NELA,
Mhm.
which stands for New England Library Association, and their website is in the chat. So do you want to talk a little bit about our relationship with them?
Sure. So NELA, New England Library Association, it's a regional advocacy organization. So regionally, it really is the New England states. And individuals, again, can join for a fee. And because of a great partnership between NELA and MLA, you can get a reduced membership to NELA if you're an MLA member. You can participate in various interest groups. They also hold annual conferences and leadership opportunities that are available to all members. NELA is a really great place to meet and work with library staff beyond Massachusetts. So if you're looking to expand your professional network a little bit beyond our state lines, NELA is a really, really great place to start. Not as big as the national organizations, but a little bit bigger than just our state.
All right.
Yep.
And next is ACRL New England, which stands for Associated College and Research Libraries New England chapter, I think.
Yes.
So I'm going
Yeah.
to put their site in the chat, but if you wanted to sort of quickly talk about that.
Sure. So ACRL New England is a division of the national ACRL, again, Association of College and Research Libraries, which is a division of ALA, American Library Association. And again, for a fee, an individual can join to take part in different committees and initiatives. The ACRL New England in particular, we've worked with to provide some ongoing or not ongoing, but really day-long continuing education opportunities for our academic members. We've partnered to sort of help lower the costs to attend certain sessions, to help co-sponsor and bring our professional expertise together to benefit the academic librarianship network as a whole. And just a quick note, all of the associations mentioned offer conferences and learning opportunities to members. So you'll often see MLS sponsor or exhibit at these events. And they also do incredible advisory work, often in support of MLS. So we thank them for being such great partners with us.
Yes. And in my notes to Sarah, I forgot to include the Massachusetts School of Library Library Association, but I'm going to put them in the chat, and all the things that Sarah really said about the other associations also apply to MSLA. So I think it's fair to just sort of move on to the next question. Okay. All right. So Sarah, can you identify any areas where our services might overlap with any of these organizations?
Oh, oh,
You're
okay.
fine.
Yes, I can. Right. So consulting services comes to mind. As we mentioned before, the Board of Library Commissioners and the Mass Library System each have consulting teams, but the topics we cover differ. So for example, for trustees, grants, construction, serving the underserved, MBLC staff lead those conversations. For programming, youth and adult, collection maintenance, community partnerships, MLS is your first point of contact. So of course, we pride ourselves in partnering to offer some exceptional services to our collective memberships. I guess including the summer library program, the small libraries forum, various symposiums over the years, strategic planning work, and most recently COVID-19 response and support. So when you're if you're looking to speak with someone about a particular topic, though, we're really in close contact with each other all the time. So you can reach out to either organization and we'll help you find the right person wherever they are to help with your questions.
All right, great. So I just have one final question. So if anybody's out there thinking, oh, I've got something that you didn't cover, start typing it up.
Yep.
Do you have any final thoughts to share on what MLS does and how we differ from other organizations in the state?
I think the Mass Library System is unique from all the other organizations in the state. There isn't a similar organization or network or group that does what we do and also offers it how we offer it, if you will. While we're really proud of our standalone work, we are equally proud of the collaborative work we do with our partners. And you can see it every day in many of the things that we provide to the membership. We work to keep in good and consistent contact with each organization's leaderships, and we really value our collaborations.
All right. Great answer.
Oh.
All right, so that really wraps up what we had planned for the day. It was just a quick overview of what we do and how we cross paths with these other organizations. We want to thank you for attending today's MLS Live. And before we say goodbye for the day, we just want to acknowledge the staff of MLS and the staffs at your library, and how grateful we are to all of them for everything that they've accomplished throughout this year and continue to do through these very extenuating circumstances. So we'll be here again on March 30th, and we will announce the topic for that and the April session, hopefully by the end of next week. And we will see you soon. And I'll give you like a minute to ask any questions if you want.
And certainly, if you have any ideas of topics you'd like to hear a little bit more about or a deep dive on some of the organizations that we talked about today, please reach out to Amanda or me and let us know so that we can include that in our planning for the rest of the year.
Yeah, definitely. If you have topic suggestions, we would happily take them. All right. I think we're good. However, I'll just put my email.
Mhm.
If you want to send any kind of follow-up, my email's in the box. Sarah's put hers in the box. Feel free to connect with us. But thanks for joining today, and we will
Thank
see
you.
you on March 30th.
Be well,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.